Good morning, everyone. We're going to continue our media availabilities this morning, and we've now been joined by Jimmie Johnson, driver of the number 48 Lowe's Chevrolet. And Jimmie, obviously Dover is one of your best racetracks on the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series schedule. And last year you guys encountered a little bit of bad luck, and then this year you come in a really solid position to make it to the next round. Just talk about those two elements and how you guys will approach this weekend.
Excited to be back at my best racetrack, without a doubt. I think last year shows that you really can't count on a racetrack always being kind to a driver or always working in their favor. So it's part of racing. I've learned it through many different lessons over my racing career. Last year, I think, kind of showed everybody once again that you just can't take a race or a track for granted for anybody. We're back with high hopes. Love being here. Glad to see the weather moving out so that we can get on the racetrack today. And I think it's going to be a tricky day on the track. The track will be very green, very fast, and then these winds are definitely going to give us a hard time in the race cars.
Right, we're going to go ahead and open for questions for Jimmie. If you have one, please raise your hand and state your name and affiliation, and we'll start up front with Claire.
Claire Beeline, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. You said a tricky day on the track, but you're so dang good here. So does that give you an advantage, or does that throw off what you know here, that it's going to be tricky and different, you know?
Yeah, I think the two tricky elements will be the fact that the track is so green. Race day, this track takes a lot of rubber and drives totally different and requires a different setup. So trying to be patient with your setup. I mean, we all know how we want our cars to feel in the race. Come with our ideas built on a mid-race balance that's needed. And then you show up and the track is green, it's cool. And then the wind's hard to count on, because if it's a consistent wind is one thing and you can kind of adjust to it and get into a rhythm of it, but the gusts are what really cause a problem. So between those two elements, I'm just going to remind myself all day long what I think I will need for Sunday, and just try to live with maybe a little less lap time than I would want today in comparison to the field, and really focus on a feel in the race car.
All right, we'll go to Jeff and then Nate.
Jeff Clark from USA Today. Dale Jr. is coming back, and I think it's going to be his first race watching at the track. I think the other ones he'd come and then left the track. Will that be a morale boost to have him around at all? And have you noticed that he's going around and doing all the sponsor stuff still? And what's your impression of all that?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of Dale away from the racetrack, and I completely understand how difficult it is to come to the track and feel productive. But I guess many of you haven't had a chance to see him in our team meetings, at the shop, various ways that we interact, and being a part of the discussion from week to week of what's happened and what we're getting ready for the next week. And he's been deeply involved in all of that. I can only imagine how hard it is to come to the track and watch a car race, and then also how boring it would be, because we do have the coolest job to sit in that race car, and then just to come to a track and watch, I don't know if I could do it. So I'm great from a public perception that he's coming, and people can really see how hard he's working and kind of tie that together with his recovery process. But I've seen a lot of him. I know he's dying to get back in the race car, eager to feel amazing again, and I think he's on a great road of progress right now.
All right, Nate, go ahead.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. Jamie McMurray was in here a few minutes ago, and he said that he felt like the chase didn't have as much drama through the first two races as he was expecting, particularly with like restarts at New Hampshire. There wasn't the normal chaos. Does it seem that way to you? I mean, you've been in every playoff since this began. Does it seem as if it's been a little bit more low-key through the first two races, and if so, any reason why?
I guess it just depends on your own environment. We had plenty of drama at Chicago. Super hyped to lead laps and thought we had a chance to win. Made a mistake on pit road, then failed LIS following the race, then points are given back. So my Chicago was about as exciting as any Chicago I've ever had personally. Last weekend was plenty tense for me. We started the first half very competitive, lost some track position, and then Loudon was very challenging for me to try to get back through. So from where I was sitting, I had plenty of challenges, and it felt like a typical pressure-packed start to the chase.
Right. Tom, go ahead.
Hi, Jimmy. Tom Jensen, FoxSports.com, way in the back.
See you
Just
back
to
there.
follow up on Nate's question, yeah, there's been drama for you, but the buzz from the fans is there hasn't been much. Do you expect the intensity to pick up this round or this race and subsequent rounds?
It's so hard to make everybody happy. I mean, it actually frustrates me to hear that might be the the response. It's just tough to make everybody happy. I guess that's all I got.
Any additional questions for Jimmie? All right, Jimmie, we appreciate your time. We wish you the best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.